To say that I only tasted blood after I joined the army is wrong. I had tasted it before. Everybody leaves with a pension. I am so fortunate I left with a pension as well as a passion that the army gave me. I was a peace-loving man. I'm still a very peace-loving man. Brainwash तो गौरव हम सब रहे हैं कभी ना कभी किसी न किसी बात पे जिद हमारी होगी as a teenager, you know. The Indian army will always remain the best because of the background from which our men come. The relationship with the men was amazing. That I knew that I'm going to miss. Army में क्या होता है? It's all 24 hours. They live with you, the quarters, accommodation आपके पास है, उनका सारा well-being आपके पास. I'm so grateful to God. मैंने कहा ना ऊपर वाले से मेरा direct relation. Leadership is only one thing, यार. It's only about character. आग में से जब लोहा निकलता है या तो पिघल के खत्म हो जाता है या बाहर निकलता है तब के और मजबूत. So it's hard. Easy is not an option that the Indian Army will give you, ladies and gentlemen.
I am your host Gaurav Garg and we welcome all our viewers to our show Amazing Men Talk. Today with us is retired Lieutenant Colonel Manoj Kumar Sinha, Sena Medal. He is Indian Army veteran officer. People also know him for his inspirational writing, speaking and videos. He is also a motivated speaker. On January 2002, the President of India presents him Sena Medal, award for bravery and conspicuous gallantry. His thoughts, his work, poetries always inspired the youngster to join armed forces and fill the patriotism in them towards the Mother India. He is a speaker, actor, poet, writer and influencer. He is currently manager Seven Hills Hospital. It's a pleasure to welcome retired Lieutenant Colonel Manoj Kumar Sinha to our show Amazing Men Talk. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, and namaskar to each and every one of you who's listening. Vande Mataram. It's really my honor and pleasure to be at this forum of yours, wherein I keep watching such amazing mentors that you keep interviewing, and it's really to be counted among that league is indeed an honor in itself.
My pleasure. So tell us about your childhood and any particular memory from your childhood you would like to share on us.
My childhood was very ordinary childhood like everybody went through. My father was in Air Force, so I used to move around with him wherever he went. I come from Bihar, a small village. And even though we used to go, once in those summer vacations for 1.5 to 2 months, or whenever there was a marriage or something like that. But that had a very, very profound impression on me. Most of the things that even today that I talk of relate to, it comes from that. Mitti se jo thoda sa connection mera hua tha. That is what was very, very important. And most of the credit for that goes to my father because it could have been just another ordinary holiday, guy, relatives you met and came back. But he always ensured that he made the most of those period that when I was in the village, he ensured that I get rooted.
So what about your educational background, schooling and higher education?
Till class 2, I studied in private schools, and after class 2, I got into the central school, Kendriya Vidyalaya, and then on it was all Kendriya Vidyalaya in different stations, and that was another very good. I'm very fortunate. That makes you very pragmatic, and your view gets broadened. However good a school you are, if you live in the same school, same place throughout your life, the limitation comes. And I was fortunate to be blessed to be going around the country, meeting different people, different classmates, different teachers every time. After that, I did my 12th and then I went to college. I was a great student, good student, till maybe class 8, 9 and all. But then came adolescence and I probably began losing my way there. Then after 12th, I joined the Indian Air Force and the Airmen. After having joined the Air Force also, I continued my education. I got an inspiration, few good people, few not so good people. Everybody contributes in your life. So then I did my education, I did my graduation, I joined law college there as I was working. That was all I was working. But in the meantime, after my graduation, I began attempting to upgrade my career to become a class 1, so-called class 1 post jisko bolte hain. I could clear CDS and here I am. The rest is history.
So what was your dream profession as a child?
As I told you, more than me, it was my family's dream. So it used to keep changing, whatever they say, officer banega, pilot banega. Then kisi ko dekha, went to village and I saw a doctor who's probably the lone doctor in 10-15 gaon ke beech mein. He went about serving everyone. So I felt, this is a noble profession, the doctor banega. It was completely changing. It wasn't any rigid. I wasn't very focused as far as the dreams is concerned. The best answer to that question is my dream was to live up to the dreams of people who had expectations from me. Primarily my father and then rest of my family. So that was my dream, and that someday I would be able to live up to their dreams, and that's important. Yeah.
So law college join करने का कब इरादा बनाया आपने?
Law college join करने का इरादा ऐसा था कि I was posted in Jamnagar. I had again, as I told you, met good and not so good people both. So I was going along very happily as an airman also. I was very satisfied, not too much ambitious. But then few not so good people, only one person met, and he probably made me feel a bit, and then challenge your ego, and he made me utter those sentences. Look, I will become an officer in front of you. And but more important than that, I had a good mentor there. I had an officer, Squadron Leader Nigam, he was. So he kept on nagging me. He realized more than me, and he kept telling me, "Son, you're not cut out for this job. You're made for better things. Please, you must realize your potential." And so he helped me around, and all this, and obviously that unsatisfied ambition of living up to the dreams of my father was already there. So all this combined, I began studying. I did my graduation, and I knew that I have to upgrade. So I didn't want to waste my time. After I did my graduation, the officer Colonel Nigam, he came. बोला अब क्या करेगा? मैंने कहा सर आपने बोला ग्रेजुएशन करना कर लिया नहीं? No, what more? No, you got to continue. So just for sake of him, I wanted to do just something to continue, to live up to his expectation that the kid is on. But in the meantime, I had started applying all over the places which graduation is a qualification. So first two attempts I couldn't make it. Written, yeah, every time I used to clear. SSB, first two attempts it didn't happen. Third attempt it happened. So I used to go after my working hours and cycle up to that college and come back. So that was it. The college का fun filled atmosphere का भी शौक था. All those things, yeah.
तो अब क्या करेगा वाला जो लाइन था वो अब कब खत्म हुआ? मतलब अब तो नहीं होता ना कि अब क्या करेगा आगे?
नहीं, I probably have lived up to उनके expectations, yes. But now as I kept growing, as it happens in the mountains when you climb, ना तो एक पहाड़ी दिखती है, you see one peak. So that becomes a challenge. Only when you climb that, then you see the another one. So that's what is happening in my life, and whether you achieve it or not, I don't know. It's a journey for me. Now I feel there should always be a peak which you have not scaled, and there should always be a just destination ahead. So rest of it is journey, and you keep moving it. It should never be a standstill. I have arrived, everything is सब पहुंच गया है, I have achieved everything. And if you have unfulfilled ambitions in life, I think that keeps you grounded also, because you don't feel that wow, I have arrived. Now that feeling never comes even before you are about to arrive. Even if you climb a peak, before you begin to celebrate, I sight a different peak and feel abhi chota hi hu main. And that's how the life is going on. Yeah, that's how it is.
So what about your college and university time memory?
Yeah, college and university time, yes. As I told you, now in the hindsight that I've been able to undo my mistakes that I did then. So now it all looks very fun-filled. But otherwise, yes, the things that I was doing is something not worth emulating. I really was having a bit more fun that mera quota jitna hona chahiye. And not only fun, a bit of adventure. Those were the times, 85, 80, 84 to 86 in Maharashtra and all. There were a lot of dadagiri happening and all those things. So I was coming up in that time. वो सारे भी होते थे. So to say that I only tasted blood after I joined the army is wrong. I had tasted it before in the college itself. So थोड़ा बहुत खून वहीं बहा लिया था. That is all I can say. इससे ज़्यादा नहीं बोलूँगा.
So what about your hobbies and interests?
Hobbies ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, and it keeps changing as I keep growing in life. Initially it was just about being a happy-go-lucky kid. What has happened with me is whatever I like, I generally try and make that as my profession. I move towards it and it becomes my profession. So I have been very, very fortunate. I can't think of a man who is more fortunate than me. And I didn't know that I like those things. So I am also grateful to God that He kept on bringing those things, my hidden whatever were there. I wasn't ready to look at that. There was always someone, some God-sent man, woman, who kept showing me, look, this is what you got, yeah. And okay, is it seriously? Then, yeah, you go ahead. So I kept moving, I joined, when I passed out from the army academy, I joined as a logistician. And because my father was a logistician, so logistics came naturally to me, the challenges of logistics and how to do that, and it was very challenging. But then after I went into the army, incidentally, I wouldn't have gone on my own. But the way it is, army mein even whether irrespective of which corps you pass out, like logistics ki baat kar raha hu main. The primary logistics 3 corps are that the Army Service Corps, the Ordnance Corps, and the EME. These are the 3 main people, and all of them, they are sent for an infantry attachment moment they pass out. Oh, that was again great, and I went to the infantry attachment and I loved it so much. And I thought, I am so grateful to Army that they had this kind of a mechanism. And it changed my total outlook towards life, country, nation, people, religion, faith, everything. It transformed me, that infantry exposure and all. So again, after that, I came back to logistics. I had enjoyed my challenges with logistics, which I always enjoy. logistics and administration, and then again went back to the infantry part of it in thick of the counterinsurgency in Rashtriya Rifles, which is the premier counterinsurgency force of the Indian Army. And again, I thoroughly enjoyed that part, and I got injured again, came back, and I didn't knew I had this potential. But then after my injury, Goddess Saraswati was kind, and I became creative. I started writing poetries, things like that started flowing. Some people recognized that potential. Initial poetry of mine was just in my diaries. कभी 2 आदमी को सुनाया, 3 को सुनाया, that's about it. तंबू में बता दिया, या मेस में 2 को सुना दिया, चुपचाप, अकेले कोई सुनती नहीं रहा, तेरे को सुनाता हूँ टिप्स. But then they kept on hugging on. It's too good, man. Move ahead, bigger stage, and that's how suddenly I became the most sought after creative man in the Indian Army. And that's what I'm telling. I've been so fortunate. You join as a soldier, you want to be a logistician, but you're given the combat experience. Now that you've settled down on that, then the army shows you the way that you can be a creative guy, and that became my profession. Army gave me too much. That became kind of my professional requirement from the expectation that the army had from me. And so many documentaries, so many commentaries. The army sent me to television, Doordarshan, to give live commentaries, and also I'm blessed. I am blessed. So I continue from there. So that's what I tell people: leave army. Everybody leaves with a pension, and I'm so fortunate I left with a pension as well as a passion that the army gave me.
So how difficult and easy was when you start preparing for your army career?
Frankly speaking, I wasn't specifically preparing for an army career. I knew that I haven't lived up to the ambition of expectation of my parents and the well-wishers that came across in my life. All I wanted to do is to upgrade. I mean, you come across not so good people also. So वो फिर ego hurt होती है. Then you tell कि look, आप इतना मेरे को कर रहे हो ना, look आपके सामने मैं I'll become something. So I just wanted to be that something. So I was applying everywhere. In my SSB interview, when I was asked this question, why do you want to join the army? I honestly told, sir, actually speaking, sir, I've applied at 10-15 places. जहाँ हो जाएगा चला जाऊँगा. Nothing that I want to join army, and so it happened. They chose me, and here I am. ऐसा कुछ नहीं था कि I just wanted a career upgrade. Not that specifically army ही जाना है ऐसा नहीं.
So what was the reaction of your parents when they came to know that now you have been selected as an officer?
They're really indebted. They were speechless, and that they were very happy. Especially the background that I came from. My everything was relatable to my village. Even though I was out there in the city, but the relating that my father did, I did, everything was related to my village. So probably, I can say that my father was the first matriculate of my village, and I became the first, not only of my village. I don't remember around 10-12-15 gaon mein there's anyone else who is a commissioned officer in the armed forces. From that point of view, yeah, it was a great achievement when you look at that. But I don't generally do that. I look at the other way around where it makes you feel कि तो कुछ भी नहीं है. But that keeps you grounded. अगर मैं वहाँ देखूंगा तो then you start flying, उड़ने लगेंगे कि यार मैं 10-12 गाँव में मैं ही हूँ. But that's not the way. So I always look at people. So when they're all around people who are more successful than me, most of my classmates, किसी ने IIT crack कर लिया था, किसी ने AIMS crack कर लिया था, किसी ने NDA में ही कर लिया था. I took so much of time to come across. Some people cracked the NDA and went. So wherever station mein, classmates only नहीं, wherever we were posted, there were always neighborhood mein, there were kids who were smarter than me, better than me. So that looking at them keeps you grounded.
So where did you started your professional journey from?
Professional journey, first profession was the Indian Air Force. My training was in Chennai, Tambaram. So and my first posting was Jamnagar. Indian Army, first posting, obviously most of us, line of control, Kashmir.
So what all changes did you feel post becoming an officer?
As I keep saying whenever I'm asked, some people like also put across the question, you were passionate about country and something, and that's why you joined the Indian Army. As I told you, I just wanted a career upgrade, and that's what it is. Naukri karne gaya tha. But before I answer you what happened post joining, I must also give you a background as to what was the man who joined the army, right? So as I told you, my father was in Air Force, and for example, when we were posted in Bangalore, so from Bangalore to Bihar, Chhapra, it used to take 4 days. And I used to love the train journey. Reservation mile, na mile. Mila to bhi, I used to stand at the window and keep looking outside, And I was fascinated by what I saw about India. Khet hain, the fields are passing away, trees are passing away, small canals are passing away, small cities, villages. And it's all passing away in the dark. There were no electricity in those times, most of the villages. So, after some time, you'll see one diya or something kahin se, and it was like amazing for me. I was fascinated. मतलब I don't know. वो बाद में मैं पढ़ने लगा. Somebody can counter क्या है उसमें तो ये नहीं था, वो नहीं था, road नहीं थी and all. But whichever way the country was, I was simply fascinated by it, And I wanted to keep looking at it. Whether I was traveling in a bus, whether I was traveling in a train, I always wanted to sit at the window and keep looking at it. If there is no seat, I would like to stand and watch it. And a perception had grown into my mind as a child. India is endless. वो बैठे रहो, चलते ही जा रहा. India is never ending. I know we studied geography. There is a map. I know, but I had never seen a border, not even a Nepal border for that matter. Right. So India was endless in my perception. Right. So that is one. The second perception was about faith. As he was in Air Force, we used to keep getting transferred from one place to another, and every place there used to be something. So I felt, okay, in this place there is a Durga temple. So probably she is the in charge. As we see, a new place, यहाँ collector कौन है? So probably anything required, we will have to go to that. So मैंने कहा, अब she in this place, she is the in charge. So अगले पूरा tenure में she becomes my deity. भी यहाँ तो भैया कुछ भी है, एग्जाम है, ये है, वो है, एनीथिंग दैट नॉर्मल होता है ना, तो भगवान को याद करना, तो दुर्गा माता, कहीं पर गए तो बजरंग बली का है, कहीं पर गए तो शंकर जी का है, कहीं पर कृष्ण का है, वॉट एवर इट इज. एंड माई नॉलेज ऑफ स्क्रिप्चर्स वॉज दैट स्मॉल आरती की पुस्तिका जो होती है एट होम पूजा के स्थान पर. I didn't even remember that. I didn't even memorize that. So whenever aarti used to happen, I used to have to open that small booklet and read it. That was my knowledge of scriptures. And it was so flexible, as I told you. जहाँ जाए वो बदल जाता था. And the third was about, I was a peace-loving man. I'm still a very peace-loving man. Because I believe that peace is as basic and rudimentary for a man as food, air and water. ये सब जब basic घर, रोटी कपड़ा मकान के requirements पूरी हो जाएंगी, then the next requirement that every human being has is peace. That's what I firmly believe, firm conviction, even as a kid. Not that I didn't have my share of fights, as I told you. I did have. But then even if I won those fights as a kid or as a teenager, I wasn't very, very happy because I always felt that I could not prevail upon this person to live in peace. I should have been able to prevail. Why are you fighting? Why are you getting into this? And I always felt it was my failure. And I always knew that probably a better human being than me, a more evolved human being than me, would have, had he been here, he or she been here, she would have prevailed over this person not to fight. So this was my basic treatment. Now when I joined the army, and first was line of control. When I was walking towards the line of control, so-called line of control, and when I reached, I just was walking along. I did not, but there was my men walking next to me and they tapped on my shoulder. बोले साहब रुक जाओ. मैंने कहा what happened? बोला साहब हमारा इलाका खत्म हो गया. Here was my perception about India, that it never ends. And here I was standing actually where India was. The control of land that we had was ending. And he also further pointed me कि साहब सामने देखो वो दुश्मन का पोस्ट है, LMG निकली हुई है, a step ahead and he will fire. So here was an India which I felt was endless. So I not only saw where it was, the control was getting over, and even there where I was standing was not acceptable to people, it was being challenged. So वहाँ से when I turned back and looked at my nation, मेरे को देश समझ में आने लग गया. My perception about country began to change from there. And then on the experience of understanding the enemy, whatever the army gives you that exposure. So you want to know the enemy, how he thinks, whatever literature, intercepts, all those things I went through, and I was really, really scared. Scared नहीं बोलूंगा, but I was really worried because I felt कि यार कितना बढ़िया कंट्री है, मतलब that's why I told. इसके पहले कोई देशभक्ति थी नहीं, देश में मतलब भक्ति की जरूरत क्या है, कोई प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है मेरे हिसाब से, my perception होगा. You can blame me for not being aware of the problems of that country at period. I accept that, absolutely concede that point. मेरे गांव में बिजली नहीं थी, but वो मेरे को प्रॉब्लम नहीं लगती थी. मेरे गांव में रोड नहीं था, मुझे वो प्रॉब्लम नहीं लगती थी. बट ठीक है ना, this is how it's supposed to be. It's fantastic. But now I was like, अरे यार, so हमारे को देश समझ में आया. Second, enemy जो है, he was very gung-ho at that time when I went, and having most of them were very gung-ho and confident that the Soviets had withdrawn from Afghanistan, and these were the same lot of people who were coming from there, and they believed that they have defeated the Soviets, and what is the Indian army now? ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है types. So that kind of a confidence you could see in their conversation and everything, and it really felt that they really seriously believe that they will break India. So that was the second part. And the third was about faith. Because then I still was not ready to believe that there is peace. Somebody will not be wanting to live in peace. So there's a YouTube video of mine, conversation of mine with a terrorist. It's an actual voice of me and mine, in which I'm telling him, yeah, let's live in peace. I'm giving him all the reasons, just about 3 to 4 minutes. And he's giving me reasons, and he's countering my logic of why we should live in peace by logic of only one thing, faith. So now here I was understanding कि यार इतना rigid भी हो सकता है किसी का faith. Mine was so flexible. जहाँ जाओ उधर डाल दो. And here I felt कि यार इतना rigid कैसे हो सकता है. So these 3 beliefs of mine which I joined with about the nation perspective, about that it is endless and all, that changed. वो faith का perspective that it is faith में किसी को कोई पंगा हो क्या सकता है यार. How is it? It's my internal thing. How does it matter what गौरव आंख बंद करके किसको याद करता है. How should it bother me? Even if you and me live in the same room, when you close your eyes and whom do you remember? How can that be of my concern? I really failed to understand that point. And then I understood one thing. Those people, I told you now that I always used to have that belief that if I have not been able to prevail upon someone, it is probably I am a lesser being. Someone better than me would have been able to do that. But there I got this feeling, understanding and belief. I agreed upon that. Here, even if Buddha or Nanak were to come here and try and prevail upon him, it wouldn't have made a difference to this man. And the reason I'll tell you one thing. The reason I'll tell you is, everybody talks, when we talk about terrorism, everybody talks that they are brainwashed. That's wrong. ब्रेन वॉश तो गौरव हम सब रहे हैं कभी ना कभी, किसी न किसी बात पे जिद हमारी होगी एज ए टीनेजर, 50 लोगों ने समझाया होगा, हमें नहीं बात समझ में आई होगी, देन देयर केम अ सिचुएशन एंड अ टाइम एंड एक्सपीरियंस वी हैव ऑल इवॉल्वड एंड जिस जिद थी हमारी छोड़ के वी हैव चेंज. तो ब्रेन वॉश आदमी चेंज होता है. वी हार्डकोर बिलीव ऑफ अ ब्रांड और एंड वी चेंज, राइट. वी हार्डकोर लास्ट इलेक्शन में किसी को वोट दिया होगा और दुनिया ने समझाया होगा, इस इलेक्शन में हमने दिया है, दैट्स व्हाई गवर्नमेंट चेंज, राइट. तो ब्रेन वॉश इज अ रॉन्ग टर्म. दे आर कॉन्शियस वॉश्ड. So now when their conscience ही नहीं है, whom are you talking to? So that is why that feeling that I got, nobody can, even if such masters like Buddha and Nanak come, वो बात तो conscience से करेंगे ना, है ही नहीं तो where are you connecting to? So these are my first readings and that changed my life from there on, and I took a different turn. A man who joined the army just for नौकरी है, then it became a totally different purpose, and then I absolutely changed and मेरा सब कुछ बदल गया. And then, as I told you, I'm a peace-loving man. I still can't slaughter a chicken. And then I was ready to chop off heads. So that is how army changed me.
एक बात मैंने देखी है, मतलब I have interviewed numerous categories, पर जो इंटरव्यू और जो डेप्थ और जो स्टोरीज और जो एक्सपीरियंस एक आर्मी मैन शेयर करता है ना, इट्स आउट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. अलग ही पर्सपेक्टिव पे चले जाते हैं. So what was your first task post joining army?
Post joining army, initially तो mundane routine है, पेट्रोलिंग करो, ambush करो, because we are in the line of control. So I go closer to that, wherever there infiltration हो सकता था वहाँ जाओ, ambush लगाओ and all those things. But I remember one episode of that. Initially I was too young, and incidentally I shouldn't have been the company commander so early in my service, but so happened officers went on leave and there was a shortage and all. So बुलाया that company. They were planning to send me to another company under some officer, but then एक दूसरी company का some officer had to go on leave. So I was sent there. एक बार ऐसी था, there was some firing happening and पहाड़ी थी and छोटी सी. I was already at the here and firing was coming. I rushed on top of the cliff. Moment I was about to become visible to that guy in my earnest and josh, someone held my leg from behind and threw me back. And it was Havaldar of mine. And he was standing over my head shouting and yelling at me. कि आप ऐसे भागते हैं क्या? आपको पता है इंडियन आर्मी का ऑफिसर है, बिना मतलब बिना सावधानी के आप ऐसे सर निकाल रहे, बॉडी निकाल रहे, कुछ हो जाएगा तो. एंड आई वाज लुकिंग एट हिम, अरे गलती काइंड ऑफ थिंग, बिकॉज आई हैड थ्रोन कॉशंस टू विंड फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम. मैंने कहा ये तो पहला फायर फाइट है यार, खुद ही होता है. सो दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट एक्सपीरियंस हियर.
So what were your initial days challenges and how did you overcome them?
Initial days challenges, yeah, as I told you, I came from logistics. I joined the Army Service Corps, then I went there. Challenges, yeah, physical challenges were there. Baki I was good at, but then if you're mentally strong, then the physical challenges can be taken care of. But yeah, otherwise I knew that you got to be honest at times. You can't say you are good enough. Most of my men used to climb faster than me, ahead of me. Half of them were there good enough, better than me. That was like, I felt, yaar, I got to be ahead, I should be the sabse aage and all. But however hard I may try, they always were better than me. And that was kind of for me personally, I was let down that I wasn't as good as them. But they told me कि सब ऐसे ही नहीं, सारे नहीं होते हैं. But वो मैंने अपने आप पर डाल रखा था, I should be the best. But then it also, they were experienced, they were in that, they were seasoned soldiers, having done so many hill tenures and all, they knew the tricks and I was just come. And they're probably right also, it improved as time went. But then I always wanted to be that. And when I came back as the second tenure, then I had Gurkhas. अब ये तो और महान थे. For a Gurkha, you're walking on the plain and with load and a hill comes and you begin to climb. But उस बंदे का स्पीड में कोई फर्क नहीं होता था. I had to actually ask him. मैंने कहा अच्छा सुन, बोला क्या साहब, तेरे को पता पहाड़ आ गया है? हाँ साहब. मैंने कहा यार फर्क तो पड़ नहीं रहा तेरे को. तो वैसे ही चल रहा है जैसे पहले चल रहे थे, उसी स्पीड में चल रहा है. Then he would give a very shy smile, साहब. But the men the men of the Indian Army are the best in the world, men that we have, amazing men. And it's a very good thing that the Indian Army will always remain the best because of the background from which our men come, and most of the officers come. I was there in Baramulla once, and there were UN mission. UN mission में foreign के officers were there. They used to be amazed at this. And those days we weren't all that good logistically, equipment wise, clothing wise. We weren't good. And they used to see कि यार मतलब what is this army यार? मतलब वो चलता है, बंदा चला जा रहा है, हाथ में पूड़ी दे दी, जेब में डाल लिया और वो जेब से निकाल रहा है, खाते जा रहा है and all. एंड वो 3 दिन की पूरी चल रही है एंड हो सकता है उस वक्त नाउ वी आर वेरी गुड एनफ दोज डेज यू नो स्नो बूट फटा हुआ है अंदर स्नो जा रही है कोट भी शायद थोड़ा सा फटा होगा तुरपाई मार लिया चल रहा है एंड इज हैप्पी स्माइलिंग चुके 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 चल 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 और बोल रहा है यार हमारा तो यूएस आर्मी में हेलीकॉप्टर से 3 टाइम गर्म खाना ना खिलाओ तो बंदा वो ना करे Oh, they were always amazed. And that's what makes the Indian Army and the men stand apart from everyone. The rest of the people बिना लड़ाई के ही हार जाते हैं. लड़ाई तो बाद में शुरू होगी. रहना तो पड़ेगा पहले वहाँ. That's the upper hand we have against the Chinese. वो रहना छोड़ दो. We occupy the reach right to आजा रह ले खाली. जहाँ पर हम रह रहे हैं ग्लेशियर में चाइनीज तो आके रह ही ले हमारे साथ तो बस छोड़ना लड़ेगा बाद में उसी में मतलब निकल जाएगी सबकी they will despite you know so that's what makes us stand apart.
So post joining army, when did you realize okay now I have become an officer?
I'll tell you a very funny incident. So we all of us you know कश्मीर में posting most of us get posted to Kashmir in the first load. बाकी कुछ लोग होते हैं regimental center का but most of us go there. So there is Jammu transit camp. We all supposed to reach there. And हम थोड़ा सा आ गए थे कि अब तो अफसर बन गए हैं we will be treated like officers you know academy से निकले थे and there was some miscommunication some letter which must have gone to the OC transit camp in Jammu that these many people are coming in a batch of huge numbers so probably वो misplace हो गया था was not put up to him they were not ready so as we but routine में जब officers जाते हैं they keep allotting us rooms but वो हम आते गए धनाधन and they suddenly felt कि यार ये अचानक 25 30 20 40 पता ये आ कहाँ से रहे हैं then they checked up अरे यार there was an entire batch which was supposed to come so when we were allotted rooms with an attached toilet तो हम थोड़ा सा लग रहा था ऑफिसर बन गया ना बट वो फिर ओसी ट्रांजिट कैंप में बोले पूरे बैच बाहर आ जाओ गेट इनटू द टेंटी रूम वहां पर सारे नीचे सो जाओ हमने कहा अभी भी नहीं बने दैट इज व्हाट इट इज तो चलता रहता है बट हाँ टिल सच टाइम यू पहली बार महसूस तब होता है when you prove it to your men and you can see that the men look back at you with respect that's the time you really feel now you've arrived till that time whatever weight you can have on your shoulders you haven't arrived so the real coronation is actually done by your men they need to accept you till such time that is done you know
so what was the most challenging task of your career
every operation was very very challenging unfortunately not every operation results in success one of the operations in which it did result in success and that's the operation ultimately for which that decoration that you have against my name is because of that and a previous few operations all combined you know that was I was already coming back after a couple of days of operation which wasn't successful. I'll tell you one thing about counter-insurgency operation. It's slightly different line of in the hinterland because in the counter-insurgency operation when you move out of your post you could have planned that मैं जाऊंगा 1-1.5 घंटे की या 2 घंटे की 3 घंटे की 4 hours की पेट्रोलिंग करके वापस आ जाऊँ or I'll go for an ambush and morning I'll come back but you could be coming back after 3 days because you go for that and suddenly कोई intelligence मिल जाएगी कोई सुराग मिल जाएगा some telltale signs मिल जाएगा you start pursuing that you've gone for 3 hours you're coming back after 3 days you're not even logistically equipped or everything but you're coming back for 3 days so it was one of those things that I was coming back from and it didn't result into any success but a failure most of us you know it's a very long patient game coming back and then unfortunately in our neighboring battalion a mishap had happened there was an attack by terrorists in one of the neighboring battalion companies and then the sector commander you know he tasked the entire battalions of that sector to nab those terrorists so they gave us areas so I was just about ready to reach the post my post you company post you're looking forward to you know once you're coming back after 3 days you know you're looking forward बस पहुंचेंगे गर्म पानी मिलेगा and hot cup of tea and खाना वाना खाएंगे नहाएंगे धोएंगे जूते खोलें यार all those things and all you're desperately looking बस अब थोड़ा दूर रह गया ना another 15-20 minutes and we're going to be there you're desperately looking forward and your message comes कि वो ना दूसरा इलाका दे दिया and when I moved to that place another 2 days we stayed there and again we couldn't get anything there but then in those 2 days I gathered a bit of intelligence from there and I had an inkling that probably the terrorists who had attacked that would have been in some place so but then 2 days जब तक वहाँ से बोला नहीं जाएगा you couldn't have lifted the operation brigade sector level operation so in and all now is 5 nights out हो चुका and then I had that inkling so that है कुछ I in all every part of my body wanted to say that you know go back 2 दिन के बाद moment it was over, now go back, 5 दिन हो गए यार, desperate. But that thing was there in me, so I went in for that village, which was totally far away. And moment we entered there, at night we entered, and there were things I can't say, but I reported the way the village was, and I was told immediately to come out of their village, coordinate and set back. So all around वो धान के खेत में पानी है उसमें, half winter का मौसम है, half winter and pani means up till your thighs. So we kept waiting there. This was the 6th one, and then in the morning we went in, and we got those 3 guys. 6 to 7 days continuously. So this is a success story I'm telling you. Otherwise, their operations more difficult than that, but did not result in anything. So that is even more difficult to, success के बाद तो ठीक है. Then what happens in Kashmir, when you are going around looking for them, an enemy firing at you looks like music. You desperately wanting to listen to that sound कि यार पता तो चले कहाँ है यार. इसी आवाज को सुनने के लिए तो मतलब we are roaming around जंगल, पहाड़, घर, गली, दुकान, मोहल्ले घूम रहे हैं कि यार है कहाँ. The moment you hear an enemy fire, yeah, it's the best music that a soldier can listen to. There's no, इससे ज्यादा संगीत में कुछ नहीं है. वाला मिल गया भाई, यही तो म्यूजिक सुनना था. This is the sound you desperately wanted to hear to, and then everything, तो सारी थकान गायब हो जाती है. Then you are like बिजली हो जाता है. Then you are in. That was it is. Yes. But let me tell you one more thing, a lesson from this, because obviously your thing, entire show is about mentoring. All my successes have always come. It has never come when you were expecting it. That okay, यहाँ पर खबर मिली है, we go there and मिल गया and खटा. It has always came when you were dead, tired, and every part of your roam बोलते हैं ना, wanting to say कि यार अब वापस चलो. But something it says नहीं यार, there is an inkling, there is a hint, there is an intelligence. करके जाते हैं उसको. Everybody, and that is where your leadership is also tested, because the men also dead tired. They're also looking forward, and suddenly look at them कि यार चलें और another 8 hours of climb. And then this thing that I am an officer, please listen to me, will not work. If you really command respect, then they come along. If not, then थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. All my successes have come only in that situation. आराम से कभी मिला ही नहीं. And that has been the same for me throughout my life. मतलब officer, for example, at beginning I told how I became an officer. It was never कि मतलब ठीक है 12वीं दी, NDA हो गया निकल गया. It always came कि यार बस अब गया काम से, अब नहीं मिलेगा. Everything that I've done in my life, everything that I've achieved in my life has always come like that. It's over. To be very fair and not to take any undue credit, I've always given up. अब नहीं होगा. Then it happens. Always. अब नहीं होगा. हो गया. अब नहीं बन सकते. हो गया. I think I made a lot of mistakes. But then that's when it happens. That is what it is. That's how it is. तो भगवान टेस्ट करता है. पहले बोला तू कर ले. Then you say कि भगवान यार बस अब नहीं हो सकता मुझसे. Then he smiles and says, okay, ठीक है. I think बहुत मेहनत करी है तूने. Take it. ले ले भाई. अपना नाता इक्वेशन है ऊपर वाले के साथ. 1-to-1 है. He deals with me on 1-to-1. That I'm very sure about. He's got a special connection with me.
So what about your training experience and any funny moment during the time of your training?
Training experience, again, a lot of funny moments. But yeah, initial, I'll again tell you one thing. It can draw a lesson that, as I told you, I was a very average physically. So if 10 guys were supposed to made to run, I would generally be in the second half. Everybody improved. Not that we didn't improve, but then so did everybody, ना. सबका ही standard बढ़ रहा है ना. तो हमारा position वही रह रहा है. And in every batch, Indian Army, every training, there are always a couple of guys who give up. In the initial few days and 2 weeks, man, there are a lot of a couple of guys. So there were people who always used to be ahead of me. Probably in the 4th position or 5th. Or there were some of them. Couple of them, those who were always ahead of me, they gave up. Well, हमसे नहीं होगा. And every batch happened. And that scared the hell out of me. यार, if this guy who's better than me, he says नहीं होगा, how do I do it now? Right? But then I also looked behind. There were people who were 8th, 9th and 10th also. They weren't giving up. मैंने कहा यार ये भी तो रुका हुआ है ना मेरे पीछे छोड़ता है. He can do it. तो चलो हम भी करते हैं. And that gave the strength, and it wasn't just internal strength. It also probably has to do with the kind of social and family grounding that you come from. So because I came from a village, even in the wild of the dreams, anybody coming from a village in this country, he cannot even wildest of the dreams dare to even begin to think that I give up an army training or any training for that matter, and you can show your face back into your village. These are the ground values of people in this country. People from the village are the backbone of Indian Army, and that's where it should come from. And most of it, yeah, that's very, very important.
So what were your roles and responsibilities as Lieutenant Colonel?
As I told you, I'm primarily in logistics. The challenges of the logistics don't make a very good narration. सुनाने में उतना कोई romantic नहीं लगता है. But let me tell you, the logistical challenge is tremendous, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. As a logistician, the challenge of logistics is even peculiar, very, very peculiar to the Indian. For that matter, most of the armies. Because, you aren't given a choice. The people tactician he makes a plan. When he is making a plan, he can choose whether we can approach this task, whether we cannot approach this task. Can we go this way or can we go that way? Can we do it in the morning? Can we do it in the evening? He got all those choices. He may feel that probably the manpower and the capabilities that I have, probably the frontage that I can cover is only this much and not this much. Right? He can feel so. He can decide so. He can give that logic. But a logistician doesn't have any choice. Wherever he goes, you got to live up to that expectation. Wherever he's got, you got to be right behind him. You're not going to be asked, do you have the wherewithal and the resources and the capability? क्या आपके पास उतना साधन है, उतने लोग हैं उस पहाड़ पर लॉजिस्टिक्स पहुंचा देने? Do you have that many vehicles which can do this? Do you have that many stores which can do this? Those questions are there, but generally there's a foregone conclusion. एक generally पूछ लेंगे. Anybody who's listening from the army will agree to me, and probably they may have different opinion. The entire operational discussion of the army is only about tactics. If it is a 2-day discussion, say 6 hours daily, so out of that it will be 11 hours, 11 to 11 hours it will be tactics. After they decided on the plan, then they will look at the logistics. So you got anything to say? So he's got to only say, how am I going to meet it? Most probably, एक आधा बार देखा होगा मैंने, very very sharp. अगर कोई होगा, he can get up and say कि sir, logistically this is not feasible. Very rarely I've seen someone. Otherwise, most of the time you go to say that yeah, really. So logistical challenges are very very huge, very huge, and there are no options. Nobody is asking you whether you can do this or not. I was there in Jammu once, handling the entire transport logistics, the fulcrum of transport logistics of the entire J&K, the entire advancement of stocking to all the stockings begin from Jammu to transport. And if you remember, there was a flash flood in Leh once. So all that stocking that had happened was all washed up, went down. And we always a logistician, you are running against time that the passes will get closed. So we simply told, now make it up. So something we were doing in 6 months, now we to do in 15 days, right? Even more, because a lot of damage had happened, a lot of cement had to go, which wasn't there part of the initial logistics. So all that logistics of food and supplies that was stocked were washed off, and now again bhejna hai. So it's not that only you need to push up fuel, but now also the barrels, because of the curbside pump थे जिसमें fuel store किया गया था, that also had gone off. So now no time to make those curbside pumps, जैसे पेट्रोल पंप पे होता है नीचे टंकी होती है, वो नहीं था. So you need to push in barrel also. There are a lot of damage to the structures that had happened. So you need to push off, a lot of cement, entire malgadi full of cement came to us. You need to push it up, and you're rushing against time. The passes will close. So the logistical challenges are, for the first time I'm talking, because it doesn't make very good narration. Everybody wants to talk about battles. But I'm telling you, the logistical challenges are always a very, very big, and they're real. Why I'm telling you real is that even when you go for a training exercise in the Indian Army, so at times, due to constraints of equipment, time and cost cutting, right, we simulate a few things. Okay, let us presume that, okay, for a brigade of, so we'll move a small body of troops, presume that brigade move kariye. Let's see how. We will same export, वो same template we will get our lessons. अगर हमको पता करना 50 आदमी कितनी देर में चलेंगे तो 10 भी तो चला के उतना ही देर लगे ना, तो why make that? So, but in logistics there is no presumption. Even if they've gone for a training, they're going to eat real rations. Na? All the vehicles and tanks that have gone there will actually be consuming real fuels. You cannot say, okay, presume that you've had food. You cannot say, okay, presume that you have fuel in your gadi, in your tank, in your guns. You cannot say presume. So even the challenge of logistics is always real. It's never a training exercise. Though we've gone for a training exercise, but the logistics challenge is actually not only, like I'm from the Army Service Corps, whether it is the Corps of Engineers again, the Corps of Signals there. So they got to actually make people communicate in that place. Establish those lines and every infrastructure and network. That cannot be imaginary. Presume that आपकी बात हो गई है. नहीं भैया, बात तो करानी पड़ेगी. So that is the logistical challenge, and slightly they don't get that due what the people should give. But you look back at all the military history and the battles of the world, most of it is, you get your logistics right, 9 out of 10 you're going to win the battle. They always go down as an unsung heroes, but that is what it is. And I can be very proud of one thing. I can claim that one part. That never, I am from the Army Service Corps originally, the premier logistic corps of the Indian Army. Never ever has Indian Army lost even a single or the smallest battle, even if a post, for lack of ammunition, for lack of rations, for lack of fuel. So as far as this is concerned, the success rate of the Indian Army's logistician is 100%. Never ever.
So, in your vast 30 plus years of career, what all departments have you been in, and which one was your favorite and why?
When I joined the Indian Air Force, I joined as a meteorologist. Weather. To be very honest, I'll admit, no, I can have my likes and dislikes. That was another reason I wanted to be, because I wasn't liking it. For whatever reason. So that is another thing. I don't want to see. With all due regards to all my meteorologist friends, wonderful thing. I learned from you, I am part of you. But that is one. And when I joined the Indian Army, obviously I was a logistician. Then, as I told you, it kept talking to me. It took me to the infantry. I had my say there. Then I came to Rashtriya Rifles and all. And very difficult to choose. There were periods, dull moments in everywhere where you weren't like, kya maza nahi aa raha and all. But there were always exciting moments in every walk of life. And the logistician also, there were always very, very exciting challenges there. And the sense of achievement you have there is tremendous. Once you feel that, okay, there is a challenge that is posed at you, and then you calculate, कैसे करूँगा, इतनी ही गाड़ियाँ हैं मेरे पास, इतना ही वो है, इतना ही resources है, how do I do it, time इतना ही है, this is what it is, the difficult terrain is difficult, the road is there, not there, whatever it is, but still, okay, we do some complex calculations and all those things, but more than the calculation is the spirit of the man and the machine that you take. That's important. Then in one of those days, I was towards the fag end of my career, I was posted as in a tank transporter unit, wherein you're supposed to, when battle happens, so you're supposed to pick up the tanks and run till the battlefield. So you take the tanks right after the battlefield on the tank transporter. Tatra, it became unfamous for wrong reasons. So that's the vehicle fleet of vehicles I was commanding. That was again very, very challenging, and I'm very the brigade commander of that armored regiment used to come and tell me, you're the most important part of this, because यहाँ से we could be the best of the fighters and we could be having the best of the tanks, but battlefield तक तो पहुँचाएगा ही नहीं, तो हम करेंगे क्या? So he always says, so the battle begins with you, man. If you do your top, half the battle is won. If you can make us reach at time and all those things. That was very challenging again, because that unfortunate scandal had happened. So Tatras weren't coming, ban lag gaya tha, and the fleet of vehicles were all 30 years, 40 years old. In the normal due course of time, they should have been declared obsolete and deposited back into the junkyard. But because ban lag gaya tha, no spares were coming, but still you had to carry on with those old vehicles. And it took a Herculean effort to keep them on road, live up to the task of the fighting forces' expectation of them. So that's why I coined a new term there for my unit, Shatru Vinash Vahak. So, Shatru ke Vinash ke Vahak hain. So that was very challenging. Many things. As I told you, when I was posted in Jammu as a logistician, the entire logistic plan, transport logistics of the entire Jammu and Kashmir, was always running against time, calculating daily kitna pahunch gaya, kitna stocking ho gaya. That calculations would never match. Headquarter ki figure alag, hamari a lot of hard, heated discussion. Ye nahi hua, wo nahi hua, because running ke Zozila Pass khatam hone ke pehle you got to go, and we would always come, barf padi and our last vehicle, convoy vehicle is coming out of those, passes, and having that sense of achievement and all. So that was one. And the combat part I have narrated it many a times. It was always very, very thrilling and engaging and wonderful. But more than the combat part, also the best part was not, I won't say not combat, but then the mental part of it, my interaction with people, my interaction with the terrorists. I was very good at that. Combat, I would concede that probably I was just okay, but the mental game part, I understood that the thing there, one thing, that before you get into the physical combat, it is the mental part which is very, very important. So I was good at that. You got to be always a step ahead of your adversary in the mind game. जहाँ वो सोचता है उससे एक कदम आगे सोचता है. And in that aspect, I found good. And the biggest compliment I got was from our enemy when he told that, Captain, तेरे से कमीना आदमी हमने नहीं देखा. So when an enemy tells you, that's a very huge compliment. So that was it.
So what does power means to you, and how would you define the saying, with great power comes the great responsibilities?
Power, there's nothing called power, it's always responsibility. Power is nothing. Power to hai nahi. It's only responsibility. So I always take it whenever I have grown up I always take it as a responsibility. Power तो मैंने कभी लिया ही नहीं. I never took that I have power. I always had responsibility. It keeps growing. That's the only reason power comes to you. Otherwise, you don't deserve to be getting that power. Unfortunately, the worst things in this world happen when a person who gets power somehow and is not conscious of his responsibility. And that is the time all the wrong things in this world have happened. Do happen even today. That is the time a person looks the ugliest. That's the time, another mantra I'm telling you. There are a lot of ladies and gentlemen, young boys and girls, if you're listening to me, anybody wants to look handsome, beautiful, charming, I'm giving you a very, very beauty mantra to you. Be what you are. You look very, very handsome, beautiful and charming if you're just being what you are. The moment you start behaving something else, irrespective of whatever makeup you've done, however fair you are or color you are, you may be tall, you may be this, you may be that, but you are going to ultimately look very, 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 very ugly. Look at how beautiful a child is. No makeup, nothing. It simply is being what it is. Is it doing any great things? No. It doesn't. It is wetting the bed. But still, look at how beautiful the child looks. Even if it is in your lap and it defecates, you spoil your clothes, it continues to look still beautiful. Because not trying to be anything than what the child baby is. As we keep growing, we start putting on those masks to try and behave and feel to be something that you are not. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you look very, very ugly when you do that. When you do that. This is what is happening, and you will be exposed. Sooner or later, you may get away for some time. Right? In good old days, you couldn't get away even for a single day because you used to be living in the same village where you were born. So everybody knows every bit of you. आप क्या मतलब what mask are you going to wear? सबको पता है. If you are good, you are good. If you are घोंचू, you are घोंचू. सब पूरा गांव जानता है. क्या मतलब? There is no. Everybody is simply what they are, and everybody looks beautiful. But now what happens is that I met you the first time, right? So and I know that I am going to have an interaction of about an hour or so. So I can put up a mask for an hour and probably एक घंटे में शायद आपको पता ना चले, right? I'm going for an interview, मेरा एक घंटे का इंटरव्यू होगा, I'll put a mask. ऑफिस में भी हम वर्क करते हैं, we know that 6 घंटे का एक्सपोजर है, I can put up a mask. इसके बाद मोमेंट I come out of my घर आया तो then I can tell them I can be my real self. तो यहाँ हर आदमी एक मुखौटा लगा के घूमने चाह रहा है, and that looks, वो sooner or later expose होता ही होता है. So be what you are. Yes, if you want to be something, work on yourself, be that. But if you haven't been able to be that, then please accept what you are. So play your life within the limitations that you are. Don't try and be something else. You will sooner or later look very, very stupid.
How has been your shift from army to corporate world?
I consciously did not join the corporate world, as I told you. I did not leave army to work in civil, classically work that 9 to 5 or corporate. And the first 2 years I did not. I was sitting at home. It was quite depressing and all. Because I did not. It is just that when Corona hit and I thought when everybody was looking at the screen as to what was happening to 2020. And I thought, am I going to be looking at the screen just like that and or am I going to do something about it? So that's the time I wrote a mail to the government that I am a retired Fauji and look, I want to be part of this battle. So that's why they called me to the hospital, Sena Medal hospital. I entered that hospital as a volunteer. And so there I am. Since then I'm there. That's what it is. It is a different world outside. Yeah, I realized that. I had certain misapprehensions also about it. I had a few expectations. I felt, the grass on the other side is greener wala na. Not that I knew that the army is the best place, but a few aspects I feel that these guys must be really, really good. I was kind of disappointed when I came out of the army. यार ये तो बाहर से ही दिख रहा था. All those glass के बड़ी-बड़ी building, and I thought कि the decision making process and the way they go about doing things and must be too good यार. But and now I feel कि नहीं वो बाहर से ही दिख रहा था, अंदर उतना है नहीं. It wasn't as good as it should have been. I don't know. I would not generalize because मेरा exposure इतना रहा नहीं. I've just dealt with a few and hospital. In the hospital beginning, fantastic था. But हाँ, बाकी corporate से जब deal करते हैं, because so then you feel कि there is a lot. इतना decision लेकिन इस decision making process में army रही तो खत्म हो जाएंगे. The way the amount of privilege वो लगे रहते हैं, मैंने कहा I at times I'm amazed मैंने इतना कौन सा conference कर रहे हो यार, मतलब simple सा decision नहीं sir, we are having a conference. We are thinking over it. We are thinking over it. We are thinking over it. मैंने कहा छोटी सी चीज़ है, कितना think कर रहे हैं यार. I feel so. Maybe there are reasons for them. Maybe in their place I would. But sitting from this side, I wasn't really impressed by the way the corporate works. They're very good things, yes. But a few things which I felt would be, I wasn't really impressed by it.
कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में बिजी ना होके भी बिजी दिखाना बहुत जरूरी होता है.
Maybe that's the reason. Yeah.
So what were your major achievement as an officer?
Major achievements, my life is in khuli kitab hai yaar. But my major achievement is, I somehow was very fortunate to earn a lot of respect from my men. And that is one thing I knew I am going to miss. I did not get used to any of those things. I won't say everybody gets used to in army. But as an officer, I wasn't used to, like, I didn't play golf, nothing against it. So I wasn't used to golf. I knew that in beautiful cantonments of the army, and my last posting was in Kolaba. नेवी नगर में समुद्र के किनारे डेली मॉर्निंग वॉक इवनिंग वॉक करते थे. आई न्यू कि इस तरह का एम्बियंस तो अंबानी को भी नहीं मिलेगा इधर. वी वर लिविंग इन दैट काइंड ऑफ एम्बियंस थ्रू आउट आवर लाइफ, बट आई नेवर गॉट यूज्ड टू दोस थिंग्स. सो इवन टुडे व्हेन आई वॉक बाहर ट्रैफिक के बीच में, आई कैन हैव माय मॉर्निंग वॉक नो प्रॉब्लम. आई एम नॉट मिसिंग दोस ऑफिसर मैस पार्टीज, बार में जाना बैठना. वी यूज्ड टू डू दोस थिंग्स, बट दोस थिंग्स नेवर बिकेम माय, लाइक, आई एम गोइंग टू मिस व्हेन आई लीव. But the only thing I knew, even as the army also, that the relationship with the men was amazing. That I knew that I'm going to miss. And coming back to the 7 years of experience, I know, I went in, so I didn't know what I'm going to do. And they told me, क्या जानते हो? तो मैंने कहा, मतलब या तो गाड़ी चलवा लो या पोंछा लगवा लो, और तो मुझे आता नहीं कुछ. Probably I can drive an ambulance or something, or maybe pocha. I don't know if I can do anything. And the hospital was being set up. It was being opened, Corona ke beech. Then a couple of days, they couldn't find a role for me. I couldn't find a role for myself, Then there was something called, one day something happened, some crisis, and they told me, can you handle patient care attendant and all. And they told me, I'll cut short that. When I agreed, well, okay, fine, I'll do that. They told me, you can make your core team. I immediately एक idea है. मैंने कहा, sir, I'm going to get my core team. और कहाँ से लाओगे? मैंने कहा, फौजी लाऊंगा. And then I, circulated messages in social media all around. Unfortunately, Havaldar, Subedar, and Naik, and everybody started coming. So I'm back into that same mode, which I missed in the army. So the moment I go to the hospital and get into those, they are there, And that first feeling, जो बोलते हैं आर्मी में, आप कहीं से आओ, आप यूनिट पहुंचे और सुबह जो बंदा बोलता है ना, जैन साहब, I enjoy that feeling even today. So that was the best part of army. The relationship with the men is amazing. The men are very simple, dedicated, committed. They've always inspired me by their simplicity and ingenuity, and at times vision, and the depth of understanding of life. There were times some of them showed was amazing. Like I felt too small. It was the uniform at times which came between uniform and the rank. Otherwise they spoke such wise things, did such wise things in their life, simple humble things. Had I not been an officer or something, it felt like touching his feet, man. इतनी गहराई की बात कर जाते हैं बंदे. गांव के सिंपल लोग काफी करते हैं ऐसे. The best part was the relationship with the men, which is amazing. And anybody who wants to join the Indian Army, I'm telling you, please don't miss this opportunity. Times career की दौड़ ये वो लगे हैं उसमें, तो at times you lose this. मैंने कहा, this, never miss this opportunity. Take care of them, they'll take care of you. Train with them, work hard with them, enjoy that. That's it. That's the biggest power that the army gives you. कहाँ मिलता है इतना power? Nobody else, where can you get that power, because army में क्या होता है, it's all 24 hours. They live with you, the quarters, accommodation आपके पास है, उनका सारा well-being आपके पास है. So where do you get this opportunity in life to be able to say, suppose you're commanding a battalion. So there are about 600, 700, depending on what kind of a battalion you're commanding. Where do you get this opportunity to make a difference in the lives of 600 men and their families, and about 17 officers and their families for 2.5 years? थोड़ी देर के लिए profession side में रख दो. In their lives, I was amazed. I was always I used to admire those people on the civil street who used to do selfless, tremendous service to the society. Tata Memorial Hospital के सामने there's someone who gives food to all the relatives who come. For I don't know how many decades he's doing it. And similarly, Padma series awards में there were women from South. There was a lady from South who went on planting trees. I don't know, हजारों पेड़ लगा दिए. Similarly, there was a lady who goes into brothels and rescues the kidnapped girls. And I was admire, yaar, kya log hain yaar. They're selflessly giving everything. And suddenly then I felt in the army, ki look yaar, here I am with the resources of the army. Time army ka hai, because when you're on duty, it is your army's time, na? You're getting paid for it. Resources army ke hai, time army ke hai, paise army ke hai, facilities army ke hai. All that you can ensure that you give the best of it to your men. You can make a difference in the lives of 600 odd people and your families, yaar. और आप अपनी जेब से एक पैसा नहीं खर्च कर रहे हो, अपनी ड्यूटी आवर से बाहर पर्सनल टाइम से 1 मिनट नहीं निकाल रहे हो. God send opportunity, everybody who's going to join army, please do it just for this. This can be your biggest motivation. कहीं नहीं मिलेगा ऐसा मौका. Nowhere. And because we are a family, they come and share everything. उसके बच्चे का एडमिशन नहीं है, I'll come to you. कॉर्पोरेट में कौन पूछेगा? बोले यार, हाउ आर यू, व्हाई आर यू टेलिंग मी दिस? आपके घर में पानी नहीं आ रहा, कॉर्पोरेट में कौन पूछेगा? यू कांट गो बैक एंड टेक, सर आज पानी नहीं आया मेरे घर में, सो व्हाई आर यू टेलिंग मी? हाउ एम आई कंसर्न विद दिस? डोमेस्टिक कोई प्रॉब्लम हो गई, इश्यूज हो गई, देयर हैज बीन अ मिसअंडरस्टैंडिंग विद द फैमिली और समथिंग, इफ यू कम बैक इन द कॉर्पोरेट एंड से सो व्हाट, हाउ इज दैट द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस प्रॉब्लम? बट इन द आर्मी एवरीबॉडी, एवरीथिंग इज, यू कैन कम बैक एंड टेल योर सीनियर कि सर ये प्रॉब्लम है, ओके लेट मी सी। साहब बीमार हो गया बच्चा, बीमार हो गया तो फौज का ही अस्पताल है, फौज की ही गाड़ी है, बेटा ये गाड़ी ले, घर जा, बच्चे को ले और अस्पताल जा। इट्स पार्ट ऑफ योर ड्यूटी, पार्ट ऑफ हिज ड्यूटी। अपनी गाड़ी थोड़े दे रहे हो आप, सरकारी गाड़ी दे, सरकारी अस्पताल में भेज रहे हो, उसका बिल आप थोड़े पेमेंट करें, सब सरकारी है, गवर्नमेंट का। ये मौका कहाँ मिलेगा यार? बंदा है साहब, क्वार्टर चाहिए, क्या है साहब, ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये है, वो है, फलाना ढिमकाना, ओके ठीक है, गिविंग मैन आउट ऑफ टाइम अकोमोडेशन। अकोमोडेशन अपने घर थोड़ा दे रहे हो, सरकारी घर दे रहे, राइट? सो अमेजिंग, दिस इज द बेस्ट, बिगेस्ट। थोड़ी देर के लिए फॉर ए मोमेंट नेशन सर्विंग, यस दैट्स देयर टॉप मोस्ट, बट उसके बाद no other organization in this country can give you this opportunity as part of your duty to be able to make a difference, positive difference in the lives of people, whether they are subordinate officers, their families, their men, their families. घर का झगड़ा, यहाँ का तो छोड़ो, कैंटोनमेंट का, गांव में उसके भाई से झगड़ा, वो भी आएगा आपसे सॉर्ट आउट कराए। तब गांव में गया था, जमीन का झगड़ा हो गया, मेरा भाई ने ऐसे बोला, ऐसे बोला, ये बोला। तब गांव में गया था, पड़ोसी ने, मैं तो छुट्टी, मैं यहाँ रहता हूँ, वहां मेरे फलाने उस बंदे ने जमीन हथिया ली। Then you get down to sorting that out also. तो कलेक्टर को चिट्ठी लिखोगे, फोन करोगे, ये करोगे, वो करोगे, सब करोगे, you will see that it gets sorted out. Where is that? Nowhere else you can do this. Nowhere else. So anybody who is wanting to join army, please don't miss this opportunity to make a difference in the lives of people. Nobody else will give you this opportunity. And that's the best part I enjoy. And that's the best part I'm enjoying in the hospital. Because right here I am in a place where you can make a bit of difference with patients' lives, you know. And so it feels so good again here. And that's why I like this incident. I'm so grateful to God. मैंने कहा ना, ऊपर वाले साथ मेरा डायरेक्ट रिलेशन। I was wondering यार, मैं कॉर्पोरेट में नहीं जाऊंगा, फ्रस्ट्रेट हो जाऊंगा, बाहर आऊंगा, काम ही नहीं करूंगा। But he knew what I like, and Corona happened. He gave me that instinct, and I walked in, and absolutely satisfying job that I'm doing right now. Absolutely satisfying job.
So, what was your first award, and what does award means to you?
First award, you know, these awards can keep coming and going. They're not that very important. The best award is when your men look up to you. You know, the first award is when you get that acceptance from your men. Yes, you have arrived. आप आ गए हो. We accept you as an officer. That is the biggest award. And the best is that if you, as I told you just now, moment, you know, when you can do something, and he comes back and says, साहब ये हो गया, you know, ऐसा ऐसा था, आपने टाइम पे दिया, इतनी मुश्किल थी, इंस्पेक्शन था, लेकिन फिर भी आपने मुझे छुट्टी दिया, और मैं घर जाके साहब ये सपोर्ट कर गया। साहब मैं गया था, और वो ना एक लड़के का प्रपोजल था, और आपने मुझे दे दी, मैं गया साहब और पक्का करे अपनी बेटी का। वो उससे बड़ा कोई अवार्ड नहीं है, इससे बड़ा कोई अवार्ड नहीं, राइट? इफ यू कैन बी एबल टू, करता तो सब भगवान ही है। मैं आई एम वेरी ग्रेटफुल टू गॉड कि यार उसने माध्यम बना दिया हमें तो छोटे मोटे काम करने के लिए। दैट इज द बिगेस्ट एंड द बेस्ट अवार्ड दैट यू कैन गेट। And if you're talking of battles and also, the best awards are like when you're able to save a life of a Jawan who's injured, when you lost hope, but then you run with take him, evacuate, do all that panic thing and all, and ultimately if he survives, and from the hospital bed when you go and meet him and he gives you a smile, so yes.
So how would you define leadership, and what are the good qualities of a good leader?
Leadership is only one thing, it's only about character. You need to be a strong character. The rest all is immaterial. आजकल बहुत ज़्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स बना दिया लीडरशिप को, दिस दैट प्लान इम्कान एंड ऑल। नो, कोई पहले कौन सी लीडरशिप मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग होती थी? When there was Subhash Chandra Bose, did he have any leadership training? When there was Rani Lakshmibai, when there was a Maharana Pratap, when there was a Shivaji, did they go through any leadership training? They are all men of steel, of character, yeah. That's it. If you have that character, that's it. Everything is done, यार। बाकी तो ठीक है, चलाना है सबको, किताबें लिखनी है लीडरशिप पे, वो भी बिकनी है, लेक्चर्स हैं किसी ने डिजाइन किया, वो भी चलना है, दैट्स ओके। So what they're trying to tell you is that even if you're not good enough, probably I'm going to tell you how to put a mask of leadership. That is what the entire leadership jargon is all around in the corporate world, I feel. So to extent, to be very honest, आर्मी में भी थोड़ा सा चलता है थोड़ा, बट आर्मी में फिर एक सिचुएशन आ जाती है, लड़ाई लग जाती है, तो फिर मास्क खत्म हो जाता है ना। What it's not, you see, because once you're not in a battle and you're in a peace time, then you got so many tools or power, you know, sticks or carrot to deal with, to get a task done, you know. So even in the army, you are the commanding, you are sitting at a position, and even in the army, so you can give leave, you can give ACR, you can make people's career, you can break people's career. There's always a welfare element that, as I told you, in your hands. You can affect their lives, give quarter, give this, give chutti, flan. So many things. You can punish them for a mistake, or if he's in the good books, तो मे भी छोटी मोटी गलती यू कैन ओवरलुक, ठीक है चल इस बार माफ किया एंड ऑल. सो ही नोज दैट एंड प्रोबेबली इन पीस टाइम में शायद इसलिए आपकी बात सुन रहा होगा. तो भ्रम हो जाता है कि आई एम हेल ऑफ एलीट. एंड पैराफिनालिया भी होता है ना पीस में. पीस टाइम सिनेरियो में देयर इज एन ऑफिस वेल लेड आउट. आर्मी ऑफिसर्स आर वेरी, ऑफिसर्स हमारे यार वेरी गुड. आगे लाल बत्ती होती है, एक बंदा खड़ा रहता है विद द लांसर एंड ऑल. तुम साहब लांसर, इतना ज्यादा तामझाम लग जाता है कि मतलब वो बंदा सुनेगा ही सुनेगा most of the time. But once you move out of that, and either you are, I just could give you that example, you are dead, tired, 3 days walked, आधा 2 दिन से खाना नहीं खाया, half the ammunition is empty, and एक एक कदम बढ़ाने में लग रहा है कि you are raising a foot 50 kg का एक कदम है, and that's the time you need to again look at, expect your men to walk another 8 kilometers or 8 hours or top the hill. तो वो सब कुछ नहीं चलेगा, वो नहीं चलेगा. He will now, आप में दम है तो चलेगा, नहीं तो इसलिए नहीं सुनेगा कि साहब ने छुट्टी देनी, साहब ने ACR लिखना है, साहब मुझे सजा भी दे सकते हैं. और when the bullets start flying around, you know, and you go to just look at people and, you know, tell him that उस तरफ जा जहां से गोली आ रही है, राइट, और इधर से इधर ट्रांसफर करो, बीच में वो है, he could fire but you need to cover that area, you know, something like that. So if you, again, he knows, he will not listen to you simply because this, मतलब सामने मौत का खतरा है ना, तो आपका सजा देने का खतरा से क्या डरना है. If you are not, आप में दाने नहीं है, if you are not a real good character, sorry, it will not work. It will not work. Just character, nothing else. और वो होगा तो आपका आ जाएगा. One good example is लाल बहादुर शास्त्री. When Jawaharlal Nehru died, you know, the powers in this world were trying to control us. I'll not get into the politics of it. And they felt कि, you know, let us put a puppet as the prime minister of this country because he died very sudden था. So they had not thought कि किसको डालना आगे. So they thought, you know, that time Lal Bahadur Shastri was not even in the second or third most person in the hierarchy of with party that time, far in that time. So they thought ये 5 फुट नथिंग, छोटा सा आदमी है, पतली सी आवाज है, कोई ऐसा वो ना बोलते हैं ना स्वैग नहीं है, फ्लैम्बोएंट लैंग्वेज नहीं है, ओरेटरी स्किल्स नहीं है, कुछ नहीं है यार, इस बंदे को बना देते हैं, इसको तो हम कंट्रोल ही कर लेंगे, ऐसे पपेट की तरह नचाएंगे, नाचेगा. बट द मैन हैड कैरेक्टर मैन. जब बैठा तो फिर ही शोड व्हाट लीडरशिप इज. एंड अ नेशन व्हिच हैड, यू नो, हैड अ वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट एक्सपीरियंस इन 1962, demoralized nation and the army. Just 3 years after that, and he got army. A few months, and he got 65 what? In that he transformed the entire thing, and we beat the hell out of Pakistan. You read that. In fact, his demeanor, you know, not only us, the Pakistani general also got fooled by this. He was 6 feet something. बोला छोटा सा आदमी है यार, क्या है. That leadership. He had character. So it will show. If you don't have, it will again show. थोड़ा देर चलेगा, but it will come off. Don't worry. So just have good, strong character. There is no shortcut to that. You will need to have to go through the hard grind. So whenever life throws difficult situations at you, please go through it. Don't try and evade it. Don't take the shortcut. ये वाला रास्ता नहीं है. If that is the only way to go through it, please go it. So be it. Walk through hell. Walk through fire. Come out heated. Come out melted. Come out stronger. If you break, so that is what you were. At least ये तो पता चल गया सच्चाई है. आग में से जब लोहा निकलता है या तो पिघल के खत्म हो जाता है या बाहर निकलता है तब के और मजबूत निकलता है. तो डोंट बी इन इल्यूजन. पता तो चले पिघल गया तो पिघल गया. सो वाज आई. ठीक है, एक्सेप्टेड. अब निकल के आ गया तब के तो ठीक है. और तब के निकल के आओगे, सिंपली नॉट गिविंग अप. दैट्स अबाउट. जैसे मेरे साथ हमेशा ऐसा हुआ ना. आई ऑलवेज फेल्ट यार नहीं होगा, खत्म. बट देन ही सेज ओके चल दे इट. दैट हैपेंड विद लाइफ आल्सो. व्हेन आई गॉट इंजर्ड, मैंने कहा बस हो लिया बात, नहीं होगा. आई डिड माय व्हाटएवर आई हैड टू डू, बट देन इट वाज चल बच्चा और जी ले चल. Take it.
So from where do you get inspiration to write your poetry?
In the classical sense, I'm not a poet. In the sense कि मैं कवि हूँ and मुझे कविताएं लिखती रहनी हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. There's always something that strikes me, something, and I feel like expressing. And whenever I want to express something, you know, which cannot be expressed in prose, or if I go on to expressing in prose, कितना भी मैं फ्लारी लैंग्वेज यूज कर लूँ वो होगा नहीं. आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू दैट जस्टिस. और या बड़ा लंबा हो जाएगा भाषण. अभिव्यक्ति की जो तड़प रहती है, नो, दैट हाउ डू आई पुट दिस अक्रॉस. सो दैट्स द टाइम आई राइट पोएट्री. एंड इट इज ओनली दैट टू एक्सप्लेन अ सिचुएशन और अ फीलिंग ऑफ मैन ऑफ माइंड दैट आई हैव डीप इनसाइड मी. तो उसको समझाने के लिए फिर मैं कविता लिख लेता हूँ। तो दैट इज व्हाट इट इज। जैसे मैं जाता था, जहाँ भी जाऊँ मेरे से पूछेंगे गोली होगी क्या हुआ, तो दैट्स व्हाट, फिर मैंने कहा यार कितना कैसे समझाएं सबको। सो देन आई रोट दैट पोएम, एक लड़ाई खत्म हुई दूसरी शुरू होती, दैट्स इट, व्हिच बिकेम वायरल व्हेन आई वेंट एंड स्पोक ऑन दैट टेलीविजन रियलिटी शो। सो दैट इज हाउ इट इज। सिमिलरली हर सिचुएशन में है। व्हेन आई सॉ, आई वाज वंस टोल्ड टू एड्रेस वीर नारीज। वीर नारीज आर्मी में होते हैं जिसको कि वॉर विडोज बोलते हैं। एंड आई न्यू दैट इफ आई एम गेटिंग ऑन टू द स्टेज आई नीड टू मेक देम फील स्पेशल। हाउ डू आई डू दैट? कितनी तारीफ करूं मैं नॉर्मल लेक्चर में, आपने बलिदान दिया, योगदान दिया, ये दिया, वो दिया, मैं सब कर सकता हूँ, बट आई वाजंट सैटिस्फाइड। नहीं यार, इससे बात बनेगी नहीं, इससे बात बनेगी नहीं। आई गॉट टू मेक देम फील स्पेशल, बिकॉज गांव से इधर उधर से उनको इकट्ठा करके ला रहे थे, नो गांव में ही है बहुत, मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर लिविंग इन ए विलेज। मैंने इतनी दूर से उनको लाए हैं, आई गॉट टू मेक देम फील स्पेशल। हाउ डू आई डू इट? सो दैट्स द टाइम, पूरी रात सोचते सोचते देन आई केम बैक टू दैट, नो थोड़ा बहुत संघर्ष तो सभी के जीवन का हिस्सा है। तो किसी किसी का जीवन तो मानो पूरा संघर्ष का ही किस्सा है। वो भी एक संघर्ष था उस रोज जो उन्होंने किया था, ये भी एक संघर्ष है हर रोज जो आप किया करती हैं। देन आई वेंट ऑन एंड ऑन एंड ऑन एंड बाय द एंड ऑफ इट दे ऑल हैड टीयर्स एंड दैट्स इट। तो माय जॉब वाज डन। तो दैट्स हाउ आई राइट। नॉट कि मैं कवि हूँ, बहुत दिन हो गए कविता नहीं लिखी, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। सो क्लासिकल सेंस नहीं, मैं एम पोएट बाय प्रोफेशन, आई गोट टू कीप राइटिंग। आई डोंट नो माय लास्ट पोएम मैंने कब लिखी थी, नॉट दैट टाइम अर्जिंग कि इतने दिन हो गए लिखा नहीं, मैं तो कवि हूँ, ऐसा नहीं। फिर कुछ ऐसी परिस्थिति आएगी, भावना आएगी, समझ में नहीं आया कैसे करूँ, निकल जाएगा।
So what advice would you like to give to young officers who have just joined Indian Army?
When you passed out from the academy, based on the gazette notification issued by the President of India, there was a pipping ceremony that was held and you were given stars on your shoulders, right? Similarly, at every rank, there will be orders coming from top, some headquarters somewhere. So you will become captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, and maybe right wherever. May end up becoming a general. As far as appointment is concerned, again orders will come. Somebody will tell you you are a platoon commander, and then the company commander, and battalion commander, and brigade commander, and so on, so on, so forth. But no one, no gazette, no orders coming from anywhere in this country, even the President of India or the Prime Minister of India, can make you appoint you as leaders. That, ladies and gentlemen, will always come from the men. They need to accept it. That's the only difference. From nowhere it will come. So don't get, overawed by the brass that you have on your shoulders or the big appointment name that you have in front of your officers. If you are not, don't look at them. Before you look at the brass and that appointment name you're having in front of your officers, the red lights and the lancers that are put in front of your officers, before that, always every morning when you walk into your office or your workplace, look into the eyes of your men. Can you see respect there? That is what you need to keep doing again and again and again and again. That you are able to see respect, a better respect, a better respect, a better respect. Keep improving on that. That's the only thing that you need to do in the end. And rest everything will fall in place. Obviously, if they are respecting you means a lot of things. If they are respecting you means you are a man of character. If you are respecting means you are a man of honesty. If you are respecting you means you are a man of integrity. If they are respecting you means you are professionally competent. And so many other things. If they are respecting you means also you have a heart full of compassion. Compassion for your men and their families that you command. And they respecting you also means that you have the courage to be tough whenever it is required. And someone was going wrong, you need to have that courage to, be very, very ruthless. They are also respecting you means that you have the courage to punish people who are wrong. It's not just army. Everywhere I feel the wrong should always be punished. It is a very big welfare to the people who are right. In the civil street, when someone sees a corrupt man, corrupt man is being punished, that's a huge reward to the honest man. Otherwise you start losing faith कि यार मैं ईमानदारी से चल रहा हूँ, मेरा पड़ोसी तो आज ये गाड़ी लाया, कल वो लाया, इतने की कार खरीद रहा है, इतने की घर खरीद रहा है, इस फ्लाइंग फॉरेन हॉलीडेज जा रहा है, एंड यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग कि यार मैं गलत क्या कर रहा हूँ. यू स्टार्ट लूजिंग फेथ ऑन बीइंग राइट एंड ऑनेस्ट. सो अगर उसको पकड़ा जाए और उसको सजा हो, तो इट्स अ ह्यूज रिवॉर्ड. पता भी नहीं चलेगा, बट दैट इज द बिगेस्ट रिवॉर्ड टू दिस ऑनेस्टी. His faith in honesty is reinstated. So you should also have the courage to do that. Somebody else. उसमें दया माया नहीं, यार ये इसका होगा कोर्ट मार्शल हो जाएगा तो ये वो. By that what I mean is you can. Why army everywhere? Error of judgment, you make your own decision. Probably you can excuse. Probably. Once, twice, thrice, fourth. That I leave it up to you how to decide on that. Error of intent, No question that you excuse anyone. That is one lesson I can give. No question. Whether फौज, whether civil. Error of intent, no way. कोई प्रश्न नहीं उठता उसमें. कोई leniency, कोई compassion. Error of intent.
So, what would you like to say to graduates who are just entering their professional world?
You see, be true to yourself. Take whatever you are entering, whatever profession you have got into, take it as it may be your chosen one, may not be your chosen one. So, as they say, please get into the profession you like or start liking the profession that you are, right? And see, whatever best you can do there, you can always find a purpose there. You need to find a sense of purpose there. So, whatever the best you can do there, you do it, and always have that larger aim of the nation first. आपको करना कुछ नहीं है, मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि आप कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड में जाके रो जिंदाबाद जय हिंद करना, ऐसा कुछ नहीं. But you always, if you have that in the hindsight, yeah, the nation always comes first and foremost. That will make you, that will make you decide a lot of decisions, even in your field of chosen profession. Suppose you are becoming an engineer, right? You are becoming an engineer and you are a mechanical engineer or something like that. Now, an excellent engineer, you've come out the top engineering college of this country. Now, whether you go ahead and join a luxury car brand making an engine for it, or you join the DRDO or the ISRO and make engines for a fighter aircraft or a spacecraft, it will depend upon what you think of this country. So, वो जरूरी है. प्रोफेशन आपका इंजीनियरिंग है, फैंटास्टिक. प्रोफेशन आपका मैकेनिकल है, मेटलर्जी है, इलेक्ट्रिकल है, फैंटास्टिक. Go with it. But if you always have that, what can I do? Because I'll tell you one more thing, ladies and gentlemen. Always begin with the end first. End is that. And always why I'm telling you is that you're going to go to retire one day. You are going to retire one day. Or even if it is a small tenure, जैसे आर्मी में है 2 साल है 3 साल है, तो यहाँ से पोस्टिंग जानी है. How do you want to feel that day? Have that very clear, that vision very, very clear in your mind. Then how do you go about in those 2.5 years, 3 years? You'll know what to do about it. Similarly, you're going to retire one day. Retire to solitude. But at that moment, how do you want to feel? It will not count. किस रैंक से पहुंचा, कितना मैंने पैसा कमाया, कितना. You got to feel something inside. Yeah, मैंने किया है. I have done good. If you have that feeling very, very clear in your mind, even as a student, you may be a school student. After 10th or 12th, you're going to leave that school. You need to be very, very clear in your mind as to how do you want to feel on the day, last day, when passing out हो रहा है आपका school छोड़ के. How do you want to feel that? Obviously, the academics is very, very important part. If you pass off, leave the school with very, very good marks, it will feel good. But apart from that also, how do your people think about you? How do your classmates and the other friends who live with you, they think about you? How do your teachers perceive you to? You could be so that satisfaction you should have, that have won hearts all around. Not only the teachers and friends, that वो PN जो है, जो गेट पे खड़ा रहता है, that वो आया जो है, जो वर्ड साफ करती है, probably I have behaved even with her also nicely. So I'm going to feel very happy when I leave here. I've lived a good life, in this school, in this college, so in this job. So that satisfaction you need to have. And for that satisfaction, I'm telling you that if you choose that, आप luxury car brand में चले गए, you made एक से एक fantastic car बनाते रहे, and then came the retirement. And feel यार मैंने इतना knowledge था, मैंने किया गया, मतलब ठीक है, कार बड़ी करते चला गया, मतलब ठीक है. There is another guy who joined ISRO, who joined DRDO, and the day of retirement he feels, yaar, I made an engine which took my spacecraft of my country to Mars, to Venus, maybe to Sun. I made a fighter aircraft, an engine for a fighter aircraft which could, fly for 5,000 kilometers without being refueled. That was the capability, and that's the reason in that combat battle, India से take off करके मेरा fighter aircraft Taiwan जाके चला है. That's how we could do that surgical, Balakot strike, because ग्वालियर से उड़ के जाके बालाकोट में ठोक के चला है. You may not be part of that strike, but मैंने बनाया था. That capability I gave. I equipped that fighter with a missile which can fire from 1,000 kilometers. वो satisfaction लेके retire होना यार. So irrespective of whatever profession you choose, keep the country ahead. Choose your profession, but keep the country ahead. Almost fourth, and join that. बाकी तो क्या करोगे यार? मतलब I can also say the end. If I tell you that, begin with the end in mind, then the end of life is death. And I've been that. Nobody else can give you that experience. I know that how it feels. And if at all there is one dream, you can all have whatever dreams you have in life. I leave it up to you. But there is one dream I'm going to give you, that everybody should dream that you want to feel damn good when you die. Yeah. So for that, what is to be done good in life. You may have achieved anything. You may have achieved lots of money, lots of name, fame, but in your final moments of death, nothing is going to be counted, man. And if you live nicely, then you will feel good. Yeah, good. Yeah, I've lived life full of principles, and I have been productive. I have contributed. I've done few good things. जो मुझसे हो सकता था. It's got nothing to do with that, you know. An ordinary chowkidar of your society could be living a more fulfilled life. And when he leaves the world, he would know that, यार मैं 30 साल चौकीदारी करी, पलक नहीं झपका मैं. And I protected everyone. बच्चों को मैं ध्यान से देखता था, कोई बच्चा गिरता था, खेलते थे, तो I always to be alert कि गिर ना जाए. I've done my part. I've taken care of everyone. छोटी मोटी रिक्वायरमेंट किसी की, मैं हर पूरे मोहल्ले सोसाइटी का हर आदमी मुझे जानता था. I was always helpful to everyone. काका पानी नहीं आया, okay, मैं सब मैं करता हूँ. He's lived that life. Done that. He would go far more satisfied than some of the most so-called successful people of the world.
So now we will start a rapid round.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult.
Your favorite destination?
Favorite destination anywhere in India?
Your favorite color?
Blue.
Success in one line?
Success is simply being right. There are no two rights. सूरज सिर्फ पूर्व में उगता है. It doesn't rise anywhere else.
If you need to choose anyone to achieve success, which is smart work, hard work and luck?
Right work. None of this. You need to be only right.
So your favorite actor and actress?
Actor, actress, old times. Rajesh Khanna, Manoj Kumar. Mumtaz was. Rajesh Khanna tha to that pair I always liked, you know, Rajesh Khanna ke sath Mumtaz was.
Things in your wish list?
I know that the world is in a mess. The answer to that mess lies within it. There is no question in this universe that our ancestors did not have an answer to at some point of time in the history. आप पूरी दुनिया के इतिहास में किसी उनके रूट में जाके देख लीजिए, खोद के देख लीजिए. If anybody has thought of अंतरिक्ष शांति, पृथ्वी शांति, नभ शांति, वायु शांति, औषधि शांति, वनस्पति शांति, अग्नि शांति, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, आप देख लीजिए किसी के पास ये विजन कहीं उनके मूल में है ही नहीं. My wish list is that the world understands this. If it happens in my time, I'll be absolutely the most satisfied person.
So at last, one line that defines you.
I just believe it's all karma that I'm doing. It's all karma that I'm experiencing. If I'm experiencing good, it's my karma. If I'm experiencing bad, again, it's my karma. And I need to continue to do that karma. That is the only prayer that I keep asking God for. And that ये मिलते रहना चाहिए. I don't want to be lucky because you know everybody we keep praying. I also do that. Normal state of shallow mindset में रोज जीते हैं हम. तो I also say कि भगवान ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए, ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए. But then there are times when you connect, when I connect to God better or maybe my conscience, then मैं वो राइडर लगा देता हूँ. भगवान मैं कितना भी मांगू मत देना. If I don't deserve it. Give it to me when I deserve. मैं रोज चिल्लाऊंगा आपके सामने, रोज आंख बिनने करूंगा, यार करा दो ना, यार करा दो यार, क्यों नहीं करा रहे, इतने दिन से कर रहा हूँ. लाइक राइट नाउ आई एम डेस्परेटली लुकिंग, यार वो मूवी बन जाए ना यार, मैं स्क्रिप्ट ले घूम रहा हूँ कब से, यार भगवान मिलवाओ कोई, यार कोई तो करवाओ यार, क्यों नहीं करा रहे यार. बट देन आई नो कि इट शुड वेट टिल द टाइम आई डिजर्व यार, एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर ही इज टेकिंग केयर ऑफ इट. एज इट हैपेंस विद मी, यू नो, वो तब तक मेरे को भगवान इंतजार कराएंगे, मैं थकी जाऊंगा बस यार नहीं होगा. एंड देन somebody will walk in कि चलो बनाते बेटा. That's how it has been with my life. Yeah. So karma is what defines me.
So thank you very much for your precious time and sharing and opening your heart on our show. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Garu. Thank you. Namaskar.
Namaskar.